Hello humans, Batsy here with another Create video from the SMP. During the weekend I was grinding some resources for a couple hours and it gave me time to think about the server. In particular, I was thinking about the direction of the server and if I'm happy with its current state and course for the future. You see, I have a very particular mindset when it comes to Minecraft, especially around mods. I don't like mods that entirely remove Minecraft mechanics unless they do a much better job at it. That's why I'm still grinding ores by hand. I would much rather find a way to improve the mining process, something I'm actually actively working on, than simply run a tunnel bore and AFK for half an hour until I'm suddenly rich with little to no effort. That also means that even though I'm between the highest played hours on the server, I'm also one of the most poor players on it. So I decided to delay my idea of building a recycling center and teach them kids how it's done. If they want to play with tunnel bores, I can also play that game. This is what I've got after a couple of hours in the mines. It's not a lot, but it's a pretty respectable amount. I was mostly lacking the iron, but getting a little bit of everything else is always good. This time around I also focused on getting some diamonds. I have an evil planned with those. Which starts by crafting 64 diamond pickaxes, and asking Damn to hyper enchant them all for me. Ah yes, this is gonna be amazing, and by now you might already know what my plan is. Yes, I'm going to be building the dumbest tunnel bore to ever exist. I'm gonna teach them kids I can also be cool and rich, I'm not just an old bat. Of course, the first step is to place down the deployers, and I'm gonna need a lot of those. The idea is to have one layer of deployers holding all those pickaxes, and another layer in front of it to place down blocks that will prevent the tunnel bore from running through lava or water, and it will make a nice tunnel for us. While I'm placing 1,000 deployers, and since we are on the topic of servers and mods, I thought I might as well give my 5 cents on the subject. I don't believe, and very much dislike, the idea of adding mods for every single thing we don't enjoy about the game. I think it's bad practice to remove every mechanic that feels slightly bothering instead of improving and just playing better. If we talk about mobs for example, I do agree that Enderman griefing is a dumb mechanic. It has no place in the game, and adds no value at all. Because of that, I'm perfectly cool with removing said mechanic. But if we take creeper griefing for instance, the point of them is that we need to be careful, we need to play better, light up the areas we live in, and be mindful of our surroundings. Removing that mechanic from the game does nothing beneficial. It's basically removing friction from the game, so we don't need to do better. Sadly, many mods that at first glance look interesting, later on end up following that philosophy too hard. Storage mods for example. On my server, we are playing with Create, and between that and vanilla, there are a lot of options for transportation, sorting, and storing of items. But, what does Create do really well in that regard? Well, we need to work for it. We need to build the storage system, we need to build a sorting system and manage the logistics of it. That's the reason why I hate storage mods. Well, we don't need to be organized if the mod does it for us, we don't need to figure out the logistics if connecting a couple of tubes does it for us, we don't need to figure out the sorting, or how to store it if it's just a couple extra blocks. It removes any need to improve as a player and simply patches it all with mods. That's something I really dislike, and the reason why my server has only a few essential mods to complement Create, and even some of them I had to nerf to fit my philosophy. I still try to make compromises and not remove every single thing I dislike, because I still want people to enjoy the server as much as I do, even if we differ in philosophy. That's the reason I was thinking about it with myself during the weekend, about what direction I want the server to go. If I do things my way, people will always make comments about it, and keep pushing the same feedback that I already said no about. Something that over time it keeps increasing in weight and ends up being difficult to mentally deal with. I could simply do what I think is best for the server and my content, and stop caring about the comments. I could try to find a way of doing what I do now but somehow be able to handle the endless constant pressure that comes with it. Or perhaps I could just go the opposite entirely, and let them have it their way, and add every single mod I disagree with. But then I will stop being as passionate as I am about the server, and will more likely stick to my own content avoiding everything else. There is an argument to be made for all of those options, and I don't seem to like any of them, so, who knows what I will do. I will need to think more about the subject. Though to clarify before the humans roast me in the comments, this is just me trying to do my thing, under my own preferences. By no means do I think what I do is the right way of doing things, and the right philosophy to be had. It's just my way, and nothing more. Or at least it's me trying to do my own things, and figuring out how to deal with stuff. Anyway, enough rambling about. Today is all about getting rich. I've got all the deployers set, now let's see how can I do the rest. Obviously, the first thing I need is a couple of deployers. One to place down the powered rails, and a second one for the redstone torches, since those are easy to remove. Now, I probably want to add a bit of chassis. It shouldn't make too much difference, but I rather have some space between the cart and the deploying rails. That's probably enough, I would say. Right after that, I need to gather the rails and torches, otherwise, I'm going to be using thousands of them. Which, I could do with a plow, but that will slow it down, so, more deployers with pickaxes it is. With the pickaxes in place, I just need to add the cart, and some storage for the contraption, and this will be pretty much done, I would say. Alright, fast forward a few minutes, I have added all this storage into the cart, but I'm not sure how well it's going to work. My hope is that the cart will respect the filters, so let's try it out, and see how this thing really does. We will pick that up later on, but for now, I want to announce a new event that will be happening soon. I have prepared a new dimension that will host all the events that we are going to have on the server. Starting with the Halloween Carnival event. I will be recording and playing around the carnival on the evening of October 31st, so, I welcome anyone to join me and have some fun together. But most importantly, this island needs to get filled with awesome stuff. And that's where you all, my awesome supporters, come into play. I need you all to build whatever you fancy doing. It can be a food stand, maybe some mini games, or even a shop. Anything that fits the Halloween carnival theme. And if you decide to make some games, or maybe attractions for the carnival, it is encouraged to charge for entry. There will also be a contest for the spookiest build, the funniest build, the coolest build, and Batsy's favorite. All you need to do is type the command /events, and it will teleport you to this dimension. So, what are you waiting for? Let's start building an awesome carnival, and I will see you all there on October 31st. Staying on the Halloween theme, it occurred to me the perfect name for the town. Transylvania. But one of my supporters suggested a really cool variation of it. Batsylvania. I would love to hear which one you like more between those two, and I will be finally naming my town in the next episode. Now into a different event. Last week, there was no episode from the SMP because I was working on a new cobble generator, but the 𝐋𝐢𝐬 hunt is still going on, and a hint was shared on Discord. It said, it has no ceiling, and this week's hint is, it goes up and down. So far the dragoon 𝐋𝐢𝐬 hasn't been found yet, and next week I will be giving the last hint of the hunt. So, to up the stakes, I will be giving one of these stacks to whoever finds it before I reveal the last hint of it, which is also a good segue into the next segment. Batsy, how are you this absurdly rich? Didn't you say you were among one of the poorest in the server? Yeah, I kinda was. I have been farming a lot with the new tunnel bore I made, and I really mean a whole lot. Though it still hasn't changed my opinion on tunnel bores, they are just boring ways of putting no effort into getting richer than we realistically need. I did learn a couple of things about them though. Let me pop this down, and I will show you what I learned. You might notice that I removed the vault and the toolboxes, that's because it wasn't working at all. If the contraption had no more room in the vault, it was filling up all the boxes regardless of the filters, and what's worse, I placed a couple of blocks on each slot of the toolboxes, and it was still filling up those slots with other stones. Between that, and the duping problem, I gave up on using toolboxes until they are fixed in future patches. But, not everything is misery. I did find a good alternative in normal chests. I found out that with a normal chest or barrel, and I think it's because in new versions of Create, those can be accessed even if the contraption is assembled, that it respects the slots a lot more, instead of calculating the total storage capacity and filling everything up. So, we can simply place one item in each slot we want to use for that, and it won't be filled with deep slate or whatever else. That way we can set most chests to be filled with what we want, and the rest will be for the rest up until those get filled up. Once that happens, the cart will simply not pick up any more blocks that do not fit into the contraption, while it will still be picking up the diamonds or whatever else we filtering out. This system works perfectly to have deployers placing deep slate to make a tunnel and prevent fluids from getting in the cart, but also limiting how many it gets, and throwing away the leftovers. I have traveled for dozens of thousands of blocks with this, and it has been working perfectly. So much so that look at all these ores I've got. I was able to collect 3 pretty much entire double chests with zinc. Coal and copper have been the lowest amounts. I imagine the rates at diamond level aren't that great for that. The last zinc chest, which makes it almost 3. Iron ores I've got a bit less than zinc, getting shy of 2 double chests, but still a pretty respectable amount to be honest. The top 2 chests were filled with lapis, but those are used to make hyper EXP, so, damn took them out already to process them. Has a similar amount than the iron ore. Then there is the redstone, which I got so much of that I had to extend it to 5 almost entire double chests. Needless to say, I'm not running out of redstone anytime soon. Gold ore also gave a very substantial amount. I was close to filling up 4 entire double chests. And it was quite similar for the diamonds surprisingly, getting about 3 double chests and close to half of the last one. It was interesting to see how much gold and diamonds we get compared to other more basic ores, but it does make sense since copper and other things are meant to be mined at high deep slate or stone levels. All in all, I've got more ores now than I will need in a long time, that's for sure. I also went mining in the Nether, and I actually stopped taking quartz. I filled up 3 double chests, and to be honest, I'm not sure I need any more than this in a lifetime. Maybe I will place another row of them, just for good measure, but I'm not entirely sure I need all that much, I just use it for redstone components. And of course, all the ancient debris we saw before. Normally, this will be more than what most people will ever farm for several entire seasons combined, and frankly, I even question why I'm mining that much. But, it will be worth it, all for the sake of the silly project I have in mind. And I plan on filling up this chest, and maybe even another double chest too, will depend on how tedious it gets. Either way, so far the tunnel bore has proven to be a ridiculous endeavor. Now is the time to check a side project that I haven't shown you all yet. I was hired some weeks ago to design the redstone for a restaurant. Before any of that, can I just say, this restaurant is starting to look amazing. 𝐋𝐢𝐬 has done an amazing job at it. I absolutely love the style, and the color palette, what a fantastic job. But we aren't here for tourism, well we kinda are. I was hired to do the redstone for it, but the restaurant was still in progress so I want to check how things are going, and if everything is working as it should. It's also a good chance to show you all what I've done. I love this entrance, doesn't this look super cool? And what do we have over here? Oh, those benches look fantastic. Alright, it's time to do some work. The central belt is moving, that's good. It looks like some spots are still empty, I imagine they still working on it. But there are some already for sale, that's nice. And what about down here, is everything working as it should? Actually, might as well explain what all of this is meant to be, it will be easier to understand with some context. 𝐋𝐢𝐬 wanted to have a way to serve the food that people buy, to which I suggested making a sushi belt. That's what this central belt is for, and the mechanical arm will be the waitress. Humans will go to each of those depots and buy whatever they fancy eating, and that will make the system serve that food into the belt in the middle. Just like my shop, but with the extra step of the belt, which actually made things easier, and in my opinion, better too. I'm using the exact same system for the payment, with a funnel to set up the currency and amounts, and the redstone to make it work. That will take all the coins of all of those depots, and move them to this central barrel in here. Looks like they already got a sale too. There are also the chutes that will count the coins, and serve a set amount for each coin that goes through. Something controlled down here with these reversed pulses. And of course, the funnels where we can set the amounts for each item. On the bottom floor, we have the rest of the redstone, which controls the timings in the depots, and the stocks of the items. I made a clock with latches and a reversed pulse extender so it only unlocks every 29 ticks. This will make sure that only one payment at a time gets processed. There is also an override at the other side of it that is wired to the barrels up there, and makes sure the circuit is only unlocked if there is stock on it. It's honestly a very simple and elegant way of doing it, and a setup that, I really struggle using the P word, but I'm almost proud of it. Okay, never mind, maybe not proud, I dislike that word, it makes me cringe, but I'm pleased with it, I really like it. The storage is also a lot better to work with, unlike the obnoxious setup in my shop. And of course, all the items go up this belt and into a depot, where they get picked up by the waitress. Very cool shop if I do say so myself, and I believe everything is set up properly, at least I don't see any wrong signals anywhere. Yeah, really cool restaurant, I love it. And those benches look so neat. Oh, we can even sit on them. Nime, come over, sit with me. I really like how this garden turned out to be, it all fits so well with the acacia wood from the restaurant. This is so cute, it deserves a screenie. Awesome. Now where were we? Oh, right, the silly project, let's head back to becoming the richest bat in the server. Too many more hours of drilling later, this is what I ended up with, and to be honest, it just looks absolutely ridiculous. I also added another row of quartz, just in case I need it. Once packed, it doesn't take that much room anyway. Now I need to take all of these ancient debris, and convert them all into netherite ingots. Also need to take all of those diamonds, and convert them into blocks. It's going to take a while, I'm not gonna lie, and I will have to process some of the gold too, oh boy, this is gonna be fun. I've made some progress, just finished packing the last diamonds, and I also got some of the gold to make the netherite ingots. I only processed one of the chests, I think it should be enough. Oh, never mind, I forgot a couple. Everything else is done, and the gold is ready. I also took the chance to convert all the debris into scraps, so all it's left now is to make the actual ingots. I did leave a single stack out, in case someone finds the 𝐋𝐢𝐬𝐬 before the next hint. And just like that, all the netherite ingots are finally done. Even though it's a smaller amount than the scraps, it somehow looks like a bigger amount. In the end, I didn't use all the gold and got 3 spare scraps too. Now it's just a matter of converting all of those diamond blocks into gold coins, which is going to be an absolute pain to do. Which one of you all had the trade? I think it was the second one. Awesome, first try. That one is coin conversions. Alright, let's start trading in some diamonds. Oh, this is horrible, and I need to do this almost 4,000 times. I'm starting to regret this silly project. Too many hours later, I managed to trade up all the diamonds into coins, and all the coins into coin stacks. This took way longer than it's worth, and I ended up having to buy more shulker boxes to move this. This project better be worth it, I'm putting way too much effort into it, for the silliest reason. Before getting into the last stage of the project, I almost forgot that the plan for the week was to make a recycling center, but I never explained what is that about. I have a very finite amount of item slots I can use on my storage system, which means that having many small items is bad for me. That gets aggravated by the amount of random stuff the chipped, and other mods, add to the game. We are also using a data pack to be able to craft wooden stuff with the stone cutter, and of course, that is compatible with the mechanical saw. That got me thinking, why not make a data pack to add compatibility between chipped and create? Most of the chipped blocks can be converted back into the main one. If I could automate this, I would be able to make an uncrafting setup. Turning all the blocks back into their main variants, and reducing the amount of random items from the system. I think it would be super cool to build, and also really useful for my situation. I would really love to hear your opinions on it. Is it worth it to make an entire data pack with recipes just for that, or it just sounds like a silly idea that isn't worth the effort? Let me know what you think. Now yes, into the last stage of this silly project. I asked the council for a building permit so I can use the schematic cannon for this. We don't allow its use in the server unless there is a very good reason. Somehow this silly project was a good enough reason, so let's waste no time and jump into the time-lapse. Yes, I think this was absolutely worth it. What a majestic monument to honor one of my most precious supporters, the red-tailed wolf. I'm sure they will scream at me because they don't want the spotlight, but oh well, too late now. This monument is to thank you for being my first Patreon, and for the absolutely insane support you have been giving me over the last half a year. Thank you so much. This entire video was to show them kids I could still be cool, and get all rich with tunnel bores like them. So there is just one last question to answer: am I still young at heart and cool? Yeah, I think I'm a bit cool. And I very much went back to being absolutely poor. I kept the few riches I had before the project, but that's alright. I will stay with manual mining from now on, and maybe I will add the create add-in that comes with a hand drill. It sounds like a fun way of doing manual digging. This experience was honestly quite the effortless grind. In fact, crafting and trading for coins was a whole lot more tedious than any AFK digging. But now yes, this will have to be it for this episode. I hope the humans had a blast watching it, and that you all enjoyed what is likely the dumbest and weirdest flex. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and maybe even leave a like or a comment. It will greatly support the channel. Take care everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!